We are back at the roastery with another video. Today we have a really busy day. Lots of subscriptions to fulfill, lots of coffee that we sold at the market over this past weekend that we need to backfill. So we're going to be, what is it? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 different coffees we're roasting today. 5. Ethiopia, Kenya, CGLE, Natural Geisha, Panama, Pacamara, and our Savage Geisha. So really exciting coffees. I mean, to be honest, anyone would love to be roasting these coffees all the time. So it's really cool that I get to roast these on a weekly basis. So I'm gonna take you behind the scenes, probably just focus on a couple of the coffees today. I actually haven't shown you my roasting process for the Kenyan yet. So I'm gonna show you definitely behind the scenes of that one. But also I'll focus a little bit on the CGLE Natural Geisha. Don't remember if I've shown you all that roast yet, but just want to show you the different approach that I have to it. That one has a high heat early on, then we maintain throughout yellowing process, try to maintain as much as we can, and then we crank up the heat towards the end. Really the roasting process that we've been loving the most. I think in general, just for most of the coffees at least, that can take that high heat, so especially the Ethiopians, all the East African coffees where we can shoot them with high heat early on. Really like that roasting profile now. Some of the, I would say, more delicate, kind of floral focused coffees, like the La Reserva Honey Geisha. Now when I still like to low heat early on, gradually get it to yellowing, and then hit it with high heat, I find that that's the best roasting profile for that one. We're not roasting that one today, but I'm loving, just want to mention that I love this new roasting profile that we discovered with the high heat, stabilized throughout the middle process of yellowing, and then hit it with high heat again later on. So take you behind the scenes and let's get to it. We just threw in the Ethiopian, and I can't believe how quickly we've gone through this coffee. I just remember bringing it in maybe 2 months ago, and we're already almost out of it. But you know what's exciting about this time is this is really when we get a lot of the Central and South American coffees. So I have a lot of Panamanian coffee coming in, lots of Panama Geishas, super excited about those. I'm gonna be having a Lina variety coming in from CGLE very soon. Super excited about that, actually. Just announced it right now. Lina, half caffeinated coffee, just naturally. And what's cool about that one is that it's not that the half caffeine, I mean, the half caffeine is really important. I think a lot of people, especially here in the States, they struggle with having coffee in the afternoon because they're fearful that the caffeine will keep them up throughout the night. Definitely have seen lots of people where that happens. So if you can enjoy a coffee that is almost the same amount of caffeine as a black tea in the afternoon, then that completely changes the game in coffee. So Lina is a really interesting variety, and when you first hear of something like that, you're a little skeptical of the quality of it, because if something we really enjoy regular coffee, right? Regular varieties that have relatively the same amount of caffeine. And if suddenly there is a different variety that comes out that is just naturally half caffeine, you're skeptical because you don't think there's going to be quality to it. And it's just really interesting where there are some floral notes to this Lina. It's, I would say, a little bit more of a baking spice to it, a little spicy as well. And honestly, for me personally, the caffeine doesn't affect me much. So when I'm finding coffees, I go based off of the taste versus the effects they're gonna give you. And at first when I tried this, it was I think it was maybe 3 years or so ago at an expo. And I didn't know that a Lina was a variety that had naturally half the amount of caffeine. And it was just really interesting to think that the coffee tasted so good, but had half the amount of caffeine. So anyways, I'm really excited to bring it on, as I'm sure you can tell. And especially from CGLE, I mean, all the stuff they're putting out is phenomenal. So That'll be coming out in the next 3 weeks to a month or so, sometime in July. And yeah, look out for that one. And going back to the Ethiopian, I have been sampling some 2025 Ethiopian lots recently that, based on the cupping scores that I'm getting from SCA certified graders, I knew that they weren't going to be on par with this one, but just in general, I think I just haven't found that great natural Ethiopian yet, and it's a real bummer because I'm looking at all the 2025 lots and I'm expecting lots of great things, and I know one's gonna be there. I know I'll get one soon. So I may have my first instance of not having an Ethiopian coffee on my menu very soon. So I don't know, I keep reaching out to to importers to try and get them to send me some samples, but it'll be kind of weird not to have an Ethiopian coffee on my menu. But I don't know if this counts. I did just get some samples from Katoa in Panama. Really great, well-known, one of the best producers in all of Panama and the world. They have quite a few farms. And they have an Ethiopian variety that they grow that's a naturally processed. So does that count? I don't know, tell me, does that count? It's basically they grabbed the coffee beans, the seeds from Ethiopia, from a specific region in Ethiopia, which is just considered heirlooms, brought them over to Panama. Similar to what was done originally when the Geisha was found. They just grabbed it from the Geisha region, brought it over, just thought it was a regular Ethiopian coffee, planted it, and then realized it was a very floral cup. But they did the same, and they're doing it all throughout Central and South America now, but they did that, planted it, and now they have their Ethiopian variety. It's a natural process. I'm gonna get it in the sample roaster soon because I'm really excited for their stuff. But while I'm talking, we are getting close to first crack beginning, so we're gonna monitor this. All right, and we are going to pull it. This coffee stays in first crack for about 30 seconds or so. Sometimes 25, sometimes 31, 32, but about 30 seconds. And the amount of popping from first crack is very minimal. And then right as we are about to pull it, that's when you hear a lot of those cracks where they start rolling a lot. At the beginning of first crack, you technically consider it first crack once it's rolling. With this one, the rolling begins, but there's about a second or two in between each crack, versus when it's rolling, it's constant cracking happening or popping. Looks like a great roast. We're gonna get into the next one. We'll do the Kenyan, talk a little bit about that one. Next up is the Kenyan coffee. I follow a very similar profile to the Kenya that I previously offered that went off the menu maybe 3 or 4 months ago. And it actually is the same profile, but this one ends almost a minute earlier. So it ends around 10 minutes. My other one ended at about 11 minutes. And so we do low heat, so 5 and 6 on our heat knob. We do that for the first few minutes. And then we go to 6.5, which is still pretty low. We just basically want to get the heat up to around 430, 440 or so. And then as soon as yellowing is starting to change to browning, which is around 430 or so, or 330 or so, the bean temperature, or that's when we can get up to 8, and we leave it in 8 the rest of the time on heat temperature. And we keep this under 500 degrees on the roast air temp. And yeah, so I'll walk you through it. These beans are so dense. I mean, they're just filled. So I have less beans that are actually roasting in here, but they're just really heavy. So I also have to crank up the bean loft quite a bit just to get the agitation going on the beans. So with my experience with Kenyan coffee, at least AA Kenyan coffee, so the highest grade, is that it can do well with high heat. Actually does very well, similar to how Ethiopia does. The beans are going to be larger for Kenya just in general, but it takes high heat well. But what I find, and this may just be the roaster that I have, if I don't drag out I would say, drying phase through yellowing phase. If I don't drag that out for a few minutes, then when it's finished, there's a little bit of a grassy, but also very much a tomato taste to it, which is synonymous with Kenyan coffee. But I try to minimize that as much as possible. I'm really looking more for that kind of citrus notes. So with this one, we get a really cool lime note. And I think that's because we're dragging out, drying and yellowing quite a bit. So with lower heat, right now we're at 385. Most of my other roasts, we're already past 400 on the roast air temp at 2 minutes and 30 seconds. So it's a slower approach, and then we gradually raise it. And I just love the Kenyan coffees that come out this way. All right, we just did our final heat increase. We're at heat level 8 now, and we're gonna leave it in here the rest of the roast. With this Kenyan coffee, we don't usually, even at first crack, don't really crank down the heat too much, because the roast air temp might just kind of like tap on 500 degrees. If it does, I crank it down a little bit. I really just want this to be around 495, between 495 and 500. And it stabilizes right at 8, which is just the amount that we're looking for. And we are 2 degrees behind our previous roast, which I'm sure it's just the ambient temperatures of this. It's a very hot day today where I'm located. It's gonna be close to 90 degrees, so I'm sure that's affecting this. And we're a little past 12, which also means the roast air temp is going to get a little bit hotter. So we'll watch that. So this is a traditionally washed Kenyan coffee, as most Kenyan coffees are washed. Nowadays you'll see a little bit more natural process, but for the longest time they could only sell to washing stations. And at these washing stations, they just wash them. Just because it's called a washing station doesn't necessarily mean it's only going to be washed process, but that was just kind of the typical thing. Like Ethiopia, for example, even if they're processed naturally, they still send them to a washing station. But so with the Kenya, we are going to crank down the roast air temp. It is getting hot. Now that there are less regulations around how coffee in Kenya can be sold, which basically means that I can buy directly from a farmer now, whereas in the past, I could only buy directly from a washing station. Or even at that, they were only selling pallets of coffee, and it was very difficult for me to buy directly. But now I can buy directly from a farmer if they want. So there's going to be more natural process, going to be more experimental processing methods being used, which we're already seeing a little bit in the industry. All right, so this should be ending very soon. Very soon. Yeah, see, we tapped roast air temp 500, and that's the hottest we want to go. It's right at 500. I want to actually go down a little bit more. But first crack should be beginning, I'd say, the next 30 seconds or so. First crack is rolling now. About 5 seconds left. Great roast. So, a couple of notes about this coffee. I think I mentioned a lot of them in the beginning, is that we kind of keep the temperature low from drying phase up until yellowing phase is going through, and just about ending yellowing phase. That's really where we try to maintain that temperature between 385 up to roughly 415 to 420, and we're doing that so that we can really bake the inside of the bean. So don't take the word baking the wrong way. Sometimes you'll hear coffee tastes baked, and that's a different term than what I'm using here. What I want to do is I want to kind of bake or cook the inside of the beans more, and that's the way that you lose some of those, or that's the way that you ensure that you don't get the tomatoey kind of notes to it, or even earthy notes. Kenyan coffees, I don't really get too many earthy notes unless you go ultra light. This is, I would say, a little bit lighter than a traditional light, but yeah, I'm trying to find that perfect sweet spot between it being too light and too dark, where you lose out on a lot of those citrus notes. So really great coffee, really great roast. Happy with this one. Next, I'll show you the CGLE Natural Geisha. Walk you through that one a little bit. Has a little bit of a different roasting profile that I use. Yeah, and I'll talk you through the reasoning behind why I roast it the way I do. All right, final coffee roasting of the video is going to be the CGLE Natural Geisha. one of my, I'm gonna get flack by the people who go to my market, but one of my favorite coffees that I'm drinking right now is this one. I'm gonna get flack because people walk up all the time in person and ask me, what's your favorite coffee on the menu? Because I offer, I don't know, 9 different coffees right now. And it's really tough, and I always respond with, well, I don't have one, I picked all of them, I like them all. Because I do like all the coffees that I pick, for different reasons. But there are certain coffees that I can really just enjoy any times of the day, doesn't matter when it is, and this is one of them. And let me tell you why. The coffee it's a naturally processed coffee, so as you can imagine, there's more fruit characteristics to it. It's sweeter, fruitier, but the body in it is really nice because although I really love the light body fruity coffees, which is very similar to my Savage Natural Geisha, this one has kind of a medium body to it, so it's a little more versatile. If you want to do espresso, it's the best. If you want to do pour over, it's the best. If you want to do immersion style, French press, clever dripper, whatever, it's really good. So it's super versatile, and that's why it's one of my favorites. Now, in terms of roasting profile, it actually follows, I was just comparing it to our previous roast, the Kenyan. It actually follows almost the same profile. The only difference here is that the Kenyan goes a little hotter on the heat level, so it goes all the way up to 8. This one I only crank it up to about 7.75, which tells me that, and I don't remember every roast profile, but which tells me that this coffee gets hotter quicker. So, and I think that's why I leave it with a lower temperature earlier on, and I kind of let it ride out that lower temperature for a few minutes, is because I think it just jumps up pretty quickly. So I know that I've liked this roast because I've been roasting this coffee for a few months now, and I haven't adjusted the roast at all. It's always been the same. Most of my coffee is just kind of a quick little secret here. I actually make small adjustments to the roasting profile as I'm going through roasting the coffee because you're always searching for a better tasting coffee. And although you may love one profile earlier on, it's funny, I always tell people close to me, and especially in the industry, that my final couple of roasts of a coffee when I'm running out of a bag, those are always going to be my best roasts. By far they will be. And they're going to be my best roast because that's when I've truly dialed in that coffee. I've gone through 20, 30 roasts of it, and during those times you're just tinkering a little bit. I like to refer to it as like the Kaizen approach, which is like small adjustments for improvements, minor improvements over a period of time. We just did our final heat level adjustment here. It's tracking exactly like our previous roast, so things are looking really good. As this coffee is getting ready to begin first crack, we're gonna end the video here. Hope you enjoyed the content. Leave a comment if you have any questions, like the video if you enjoyed the video, and subscribe as well. We post a lot of content like this. Actually, quite a bit of range of content, POVs, roasting, behind the scenes, chill beats. But yeah, if you enjoyed the video, like it. I'll see you in the next one. Peace.